So we'll bring to order the January 29th, 2025 special meeting of the Auburn Water District Trustees at 4 p.m. So we'll deal with item 1 first, trustee president vacancy.
All right, so I forward you all our trustee president, Jason Paulina, resigned. According to the district bylaws, the treasurer proceeds till the next meeting of the trustees, where we would then appoint a new president for the remainder of the term. So right now, officers are appointed in March, and they run for a 1-year period. So this would be from now until March, so we basically have the February meeting that this person would have to preside over, and then the beginning of the March meeting until they re-elect officers at that time. So, yeah.
So I can start moving on this item 1 myself right now.
Yep.
I would like to nominate trustee Dennis Bergeron as president, fill in the vacancy for the president of the Auburn Water District Trustees.
We need a second.
Second. Yep.
Discussion?
Discussion.
Discussion? Any discussion?
You have questions? Do you want, are you interested?
I'm happy to do it. I'm not gonna be here for the March meeting. So I'd be presiding over the February meeting, and then the beginning of the March meeting I'd be absent. But if that's okay with you guys.
In the absence of the president, the treasurer presides over the meeting.
So is that okay with you, Bob?
Yes, yes.
You get a month out of it.
But in this case, we
Yes.
no longer, at this time, right now, unless you complete a vote, we don't have a president, so that's why we're
Yep.
filling this.
So, full disclosure, that's,
So you're good?
yeah.
Good. Any more discussion? All in favor?
All right.
Okay, Dennis, come on down, please.
While you're switching seats, is this really a special meeting, or is it just a postponed
It
meeting?
is a special meeting, that's what that
had
was
the
the
other
email
one.
said.
Okay, so we are allowed to vote in special meetings?
Sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. There was a question about that.
Yeah.
before, that we couldn't.
No, the other meeting, we essentially, we came here because remember the publics weren't notified.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah, as a matter of fact, Mr. Beal did come to that. We basically called the meeting to order. There was only 3 trustees, effectively immediately closed the meeting. So there will be minutes saying on January 22nd, there was a meeting, but it adjourned because we had no quorum.
Okay.
So, and then per the request of, Bob resides until we have a president, he said, well, can we try this next Wednesday? That worked for all of us, so then we sent out notice Friday, say, does this work for everybody? And here we are. Yeah.
You're here.
There it is.
You're here.
Take that
You can
chair.
stay there, you don't have to leave.
Yeah,
No, I said, Dennis, come on down.
As long as you move your
It's
mittens.
a good spot, I got it warm for you.
Bob wants to get out of the view of the camera, that's all.
That's all. Well, I expect to see Mike on the camera. All right, next is approval of minutes of the meeting of December 18th. Is there a motion to approve the minutes? So moved.
Second.
Second, all in favor? All right. Let's see, we have 2 budget meetings. The minutes of the joint budget workshop on December 18th.
Make a motion that we approve the minutes from.
Second.
All in favor? All right. And then the minutes of the joint public hearing of December 18th.
Make a motion that we approve the minutes.
Second.
All right, all in favor? All right, boom, boom, boom. I think, Michael, it's up to you.
Sure, yeah, so similar to Blair as last month, revenue amounts are strong compared to budget with positive variances in water sales, interest income, and public water protection. The interest income is up for budget due to the income we earned on CDs this year. The expenses remain relatively consistent with budget. The cash amounts of $3.8 million are strong and can support upcoming debt service and operations. Happy to take any questions if there are any.
Any questions? All right, this is the time for public comment.
No comments this month,
No public comment?
What?
All right.
strange as it
What's
seems.
wrong with you?
2 weeks ago.
Now, do we take a motion to go into executive session? Yeah.
I make a motion that we go into executive session in accordance with MRSA section
You got that, don't you?
456A.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
I do that with you.
So now the executive session is closed. The executive session, we discussed whether trustee Bilodeau had violated section 7 of the Code of Ethics of the Auburn Water District. Motion for a vote.
Actually, sorry, motion to make that finding.
Is there a motion to make that finding?
Motion to make that finding.
Second that motion?
Okay, all in favor?
5-0.
The second question is whether the district trustees would consider voting to censor trustee Bilodeau for his actions in violating of section 7. Is there a motion for that?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
3-2.
3-2.
I guess you didn't ask if anybody's opposed, but
We don't need to, right?
Anybody opposed?
Well, yeah.
3-2.
Okay, I guess that concludes that.
And on to,
Yeah, thanks, Mike.
and I'm done.
thank you, Mike.
Good to see you all.
Careful on the way home.
Yeah, careful, it's still snowing. I hear the plows going by still, so.
Yeah.
It is still snowing out there?
I just heard the plows go by a few
Just
minutes ago.
dribble.
Yeah, wait till it's done.
So do you guys want to skip through a few things like activity report? Was there any questions on the activity report? Do you have anything specific? I will tell you operationally, things are well. We are having the occasional water main break. It's that time of year, but things are going well and nothing out of the ordinary there.
No major like 12 or
No catastrophic,
major lines, yeah.
not on ours.
No similarities of the same type of breaks every place.
No.
I just had one thing on the station check. Oh, the Sable Ridge case, the water rate case with Augusta relative to the rate for Stable Ridge,
Yeah.
is there any movement on that?
There hasn't been, but that is something that is coming right up. Actually, next Wednesday, I'm going to be in Augusta at a trade show, and I am going to be meeting, introducing our new finance director to some of the PUC officials, and we're going to be talking about that.
Thanks, Mike.
And how we pull that together and file for that rate increase.
Good, thank you.
Just to make sure I understand that, so when they built that facility, this is not like, say, the complex on North River Road where they paid for the pumping station and they maintain it. Here, they ended up not paying for the pumping station and the district had to take this over, so the question is, can we charge a higher rate to cover the additional cost for the pumping station that they, I don't wanna say refused, because I don't know if that's the right word, but that they wouldn't pay for?
So they did pay for the pumping station at Stable Ridge. But yes, the North River Road one, they own and maintain it, so they incur any maintenance, electrical fees, Stable Ridge, we own that station, so we pay the electric bill, we do the operational checks, we monitor it. So we incur fees above and beyond the cost to serve the rest of the ratepayers' water. So we did get prior advice from the PUC that we could apply for a separate water rate that would only apply to the beneficiaries of that booster station, that would basically cover our costs that we incur. So if you look at, okay, the electric bill over the course of the year, the generator maintenance fees, the labor required to maintain it, you could apply for a rate that covered that difference. So those customers would have a little higher rate than the rest of the system.
Right, and so the pending question then is, when are we gonna file that?
Right.
Because obviously, other ratepayers are supporting.
Right, and we waited this time until there was full build-out in that, because if we looked at the costs
Right.
last year, and yet they hadn't built the last 3 buildings,
Right,
the
right.
cost wouldn't have been reflective of the true electric bill. But now that all of them are built out and they're all occupied, now we can, you know, capture costs over a set period. I think PUC told me I needed 3 months of cost
Usage, yeah.
to
So
show.
that pumping station was adequate for the, because I know that was kind of a question, right?
There was a lot of questions, and yeah, it's built and designed for what is up there. And it's been, you know, we had to redo all the controls that were put in just didn't operate.
We paid for that.
Yeah, we did, we ate the cost for that. We had to replace the PLC, we had to reprogram
Right,
it
because
all.
we had no way to, we didn't really have any way to recoup them at that point.
No, we didn't. We'd taken it on, it's ours, we gotta fix it, it's not running right.
Right, so the lesson for this in the future is, you don't turn them on until you're satisfied. Because that was the problem here, once you turn the thing on, what are you gonna do? Right, they didn't comply with the request of the district about how they put these things, the controls in and set them up, but once you turn them on, it's too late. So in the future, when we have these things, we shouldn't turn water on to these folks until they comply with the request.
So it was a time constraint thing, wasn't it?
So, you know, not to go down the long road of it, but essentially, they did not build it. In the end, we issued them a letter that said, we're not gonna take over ownership of it. They had been building it to AWWA standards, which would be the standards in which the district would need to operate it. When it was determined that it would be a private station, they submitted to the state that we're gonna have a private water booster station, which they said, well, this serves as fire protection. It needs to meet NFPA standards, which are different than AWWA. So the station was built to the wrong standards. It didn't meet the NFPA standards. So then we were threatened with litigation that we didn't take it over because it was built to our standards, you know, then we would be responsible for them not. And in that light, we, you know, at the end, the board made the decision to take it over. So it was unfortunate.
But it's water over the dam.
It's water over the
Question
dam.
now
A
is,
real learning experience.
How do we make sure, because we've been paying for, I mean, it's been escalating as more tenants came in, but the district's been covering the cost of operating this thing for
3 years now, almost.
yeah, almost 3 years. So how do we start, the question is, how do we start recouping the operating costs? That's what we need to focus on.
It's applying for
Right.
a rate increase.
And there will be no retroactivity?
No,
So I figured.
Can't do that.
no.
Right.
Yeah.
You know better than all of
No
us.
such thing
Yeah,
as retroactive
no.
rate making. So what other things do you think we need to hear, Mike?
That's all I would have on the activity report. As far as on the agenda, I would like to talk to you about the cost apportionment materials. I feel like that's like a, we've been wanting to talk about this for a long time. We've prepared some documents. I'd like to go over that. I don't need any other votes. The rest is just more informal on the agenda. So if you want to keep it short, we can just go to the cost apportionment piece.
Just maybe the Rayburn Consulting final report, that, we're only gonna see that once, right?
Yeah, I did send you all a copy of the final report from Rayburn Consulting.
Yep.
That was a study we did last year. We got a grant from the drinking water program. They basically came in and analyzed our business processes, looked at the softwares that we use. They've made recommendations to us. And we're budgeted for those recommendations and we're moving forward. So we're gonna be switching our utility billing software, our accounting software, and streamlining our business processes to be more efficient in accordance with their final report. So,
So the one question I had on that is there any personally identifying information in this data?
personally identifying information.
Yeah, so so I know that separately there's credit cards, we store in credit card numbers, dates of birth, social security numbers. Anything other than the person's name and address?
No,
Okay,
no. We use a third party, it's called Invoice Cloud, we're actually staying with them, and we don't store any credit card information, it's a one-time,
right, but even ratepayers, we don't have anything but their name and address.
correct.
Okay. because there's all kinds, you're using cloud services, there's all kinds
Right.
of requirements you wanna put in your contract if you are. If you're not, if there's no PII, it's not an issue.
Nope, that we should be good there. Okay, I know we kind of jumped around, so, sorry.
That's all right. So, to the cost portion?
Yeah, want to get into that one? So I sent this out, I had promised to have this to the boards at the time of our December meeting. So I had actually sent it out by email, we did not talk about it in December. Since that time, I looked at the information that we sent to you in December and we found some errors. We have since corrected it, and this document that's in the packets includes those corrections. So what we've put together here is basically built a schematic of the treatment plant. I'm a visual person and I can't understand something unless I can picture it. I need a set of design drawings, I need a plan for me to understand how costs break out. This is kind of color coded, so anything in green is items that are combined treatment or shared, Lewiston and Auburn. So if you go up to the treatment plant, you would envision those things in green. Anything that is in the reddish color is Auburn specific. So that's where the treatment trains separate, our water's in this pipe, their water's in that pipe, and vice versa with the blue is anything Lewiston specific. Now I will tell you, in the treatment plant, we treat our water the exact same way as Lewiston. So you imagine this plant, here's the schematic, you've got one pipe going down this way, this is Auburn's, well we've got an Auburn chlorine analyzer, we've got an Auburn fluoride analyzer, we've got an Auburn, the treatment components. Well, right on the other side, there's the Lewiston, so they got the exact same stuff. The only difference is there's more water going through their pipe than there is through ours. But it's redundant in that, so when we buy supplies, we buy rebuild kits, we bought two because it's two analyzers, one for Auburn, one for Lewiston. So we split the cost because we had one, they had one. If our analyzer breaks and we need to replace it, Auburn pays for that, that's our analyzer. If Lewiston's analyzer breaks, they pay for it. So that's how the costs are kind of divvied up there. So that's the schematic. On the back side of that, this kind of the numbers breakdown, the budget of all this stuff. Basically, everything over to the left kind of itemizes the different costs. The column in the middle, which up at the top says as is 50/50, that's the way things are right now. So if you follow that all the way down to the bottom, right now the Auburn Water District is paying $1.2 million, plus or minus, $10 for the treatment and protection of water from Lake Auburn. That's what we're paying annually. You can see Lewiston is paying, $1.5 million. In our last meeting, the last time we discussed this, there seemed to be consensus from the Board of Trustees that anything that had to do with watershed protection, so the monies that we pay for, we fund the commission with, the money that we pay for gull management, the funds that we pay our watershed management and staff, should remain 50/50 according to the basic agreement. But that the board was more interested in focusing on the water as it entered the treatment plant and then made its way into the distribution system. So the column all the way to the right, which says proposed up at the top, that keeps the water quality items as 50/50. So that's watershed management, gull management, the commission, 50/50. But everything moving down, we've now assumed based off from a flow percentage of 39% Auburn, 61% Lewiston. So you can then compare to what it is right now at 50/50 in, as far as items born independently of each district. Right now we're paying 185. If it was more flow-paced, it would be 144. Same as if you look at billed to Lewiston quarterly, electricity costs, other facilities. Right now we pay $5,000, we would pay $44,000. And you can kind of carry that all the way down. And the bottom line is if we moved the treatment items to flow-based, it would be a net difference of $139,000 a year, less to the Auburn Water District, more to the city of Lewiston if we did this. And this covers everything
Based on current flow.
based on current flows.
And how often are you going to audit that, right?
Well, here's something interesting. Not that long ago, the wastewater plant, the Clean Water Authority, by position here as superintendent, I sit on their board of directors. They're building a new storm surge tank, so anytime it rains, when you get excessive water into the sewer system, that storm surge is now gonna be contained into a tank and then bled back in the system after. It's a $30+ million project. And they did an exercise, well, how are we gonna pay for the long-term debt retirement of that tank? Because, you know, what if Auburn makes a bunch of big improvements to our system and we eliminate the inflow on our side? So it shouldn't be just a static, what is it right now, 3961, it should be based off from an average flow. So they did this exercise, they worked with Woodward and Curran engineers, and they developed a formula that looks at a 3-year running average. So, I mean, if we move forward with something like this and we start proposing this to Lewiston, I would think we adopt something, I kind of like that theory because, you know, things fluctuate. You know, we may get a bunch of new customers and all of a sudden our water usage is going up. You know, or vice versa. You know, what we've actually seen in both cities over the last 10 years is a reduction in flow. Everything is low flow these days. Low flow toilets, low flow fixtures, everything is designed for efficiencies nowadays. So we've actually seen a dramatic decrease in the amount of water we pump over the last 10 years, yet our populations have been coming up. But it's because of the low flow fixtures. You know, we're selling less and less water, unfortunately. At any rate, again, that's to be determined, but I just wanted to give you these numbers at this time. So, I don't know, is there any questions on the schematic or the numbers that were sent out?
Just a comment on this, the triple color one.
Yep.
I'm following it through, it's really, I like this layout too, it's I can follow it, I understand where things go, and I can follow, and how it works out, and this was excellent,
Okay.
excellent.
Yeah, I helped put this together when I was the water treatment manager, and I thought.
Oh, you
when
put this together?
I did years ago. It's been updated, but you know, when I was hired for the district, I was the water treatment manager, and I created this flow chart. And I thought of it when we were doing this exercise. I know exactly what we need because we need to show how this works.
Drag throughout the colors, like, that's gonna be green.
Right.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's really easy, you made it easy to follow, just you follow it all through, and it's so self-explanatory.
Right.
So,
Just have that on the wall.
so on questions, I got just a couple comments here. So, I think what we wanted this for is to have information for the basis of our discussion with Lewiston. So, we're rapidly approaching that time. I think they're announcing the new city manager today. If not, it's gonna be right away in Lewiston. So sometime, you know, like we were estimating in the spring, we'll want to approach them with this conversation. We currently, the group, that's myself, Mike Broadbent, and Mike Hodgins from a prior vote from the commissioners. I think it's important that we understand where everybody's at on this. Is everyone in a place that Mike described, and based on our prior discussions with legal, that the water protection piece is 50-50? That's not in our negotiation with Lewiston, right? We may come to agreement with them on that, but we're not asking to change that.
Right.
The piece that we'd be addressing with them would be not the water protection piece, but the water treatment piece. I'm fairly optimistic. This $139,000, just to put it in perspective, is 1/10% of the Lewiston budget, 0.001. So it's not like it's real money, but it's not like we're going over there and saying to them, hey, we got news for you that's gonna dramatically impact what's going on in the city budget. So that's the first thing. So given these numbers, I'm optimistic that we can reach some type of an agreement with them. But I think the follow-on piece to that we've talked about is also there's this whole group of memorandums of understandings and amendments to the basic agreement, consolidating those down to one agreement, and in conjunction with talking to them about the money, talking to them about the operating management of that piece, because we all see some less than optimal ways that that's being done, that we think there could be some improvements. But I think it's important for Mike and I to understand if that's where the rest of the trustees are, is to, once we can get traction with the new city administrator, that would be the basis of the discussion.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
Well, it's been a long time coming.
Yeah.
I guess.
Talking about this
Well,
for
make no
years.
mistake, it's about, I mean, initially, estimates were right around 70,000, if I remember right.
Yeah, we really, we had a lot of work. If you remember correctly,
And we're just kind of pulling those numbers kind of out of the hat, guesstimating, but this is,
Well, I think this is a very solid number from the
Yeah.
work that the two Mikes did, that, they found some things that we hadn't even accounted for that needed to be fixed. So I think it's really important on the financial piece that we have a very firm number that we can substantiate to say this is where we're at.
Yep, I think that's, it'll be an interesting conversation.
And 50/50 on basically everything else is, well, on the sharing part of it, on the balance part of it, is also being fair with Lewiston too. We're not trying to charge them any more for that.
Right.
It's just, we balance the scales on that.
All right? Let's see,
do we need to take a?
no.
No, I think this was just an FYI.
Yeah, we just need
We're
to
gonna
make sure we're on the
continue.
same page
Yeah,
with
yeah.
everybody.
It sounds like the whole board's in consensus. As soon as we get a new city administrator, we'll engage and try to give this presentation to them.
All right.
One last thing, we probably should just breeze over that.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that. So, board appointments under new business.
Yeah, so as we discussed at the beginning of the meeting, we did have a trustee resign, so we do have a vacancy there. I did alert the Auburn city clerk. She has advertised that. I believe there's also 2 trustees who are up for reappointment this year. Both Kevin and Bob are up for renewal, so you should have gotten a notification
I did.
from Emily.
I did not plan on reapplying
Okay,
at this point.
so you do have until, I believe it's February
Third.
3rd to submit that paperwork. So anybody who's interested in the vacancy has till February 3rd to apply for that. This will go to the appointment committee and then be recommended to Auburn City Council February 18th-ish, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Is the deadline for application or appointment February?
So,
It says it here, the appointment is February 3rd.
no. So the way it works is the applications are open through February 3rd. So they'll close at midnight at
Okay.
the end of that day. Someplace in there,
Oh, sorry.
yet to be determined, the clerk will schedule the appointment
Okay,
committee.
what?
Appointment committee meeting, they'll make nominations. Those nominations will be in front of the city council on Tuesday, the 18th.
If you're on the commission and you move out of the district, what happens?
Well, you can't be,
You're removed from that.
yeah, you're automatically removed because
Out of the city or
Out of the city,
district?
out of the city.
out of the city.
Sorry.
Yeah, which is, if you move out of the city,
To be a trustee, you must be a resident
Must be
of
a
the district.
yeah, and to
Right.
be on any board or commission appointed
Right.
by the city, you have to be a resident.
So within that 4-year term or whatever, if you move out.
Are you like insinuating you're going someplace
Well,
warm?
I am.
Someplace warm, yeah.
No, yeah, someplace warm. I don't think mine is any warmer.
Oh, no.
It's the opposite direction.
Yeah.
Yeah, I submitted my application last Friday.
Right, again, this was just meant to be an FYI, I was not trying to pull you, I just wanted you to be aware
Yeah.
and make official note. Also, just coming up on your radar, that as I mentioned earlier in the meeting, official appointments of officers is in March. So, assuming after city council meets February 18th, we will have a full appointment, we'll have a full board, and we'll make those officer appointments in March.
Yeah, so just to be clear, because the clerk asked me this, the appointments are the council act on the 18th, but the appointments are for starting in March.
March.
So, the current trustees will be trustees at the February meeting, right, which is what?
22nd.
22nd, right, so it's after the city council acts, but any new appointments won't be until for the March meeting.
So they show up at the, do I show up to the March meeting? I mean,
Not typically, you would go to the February one.
Yeah, I think it's the 19th.
I'm sorry, 18th and 19th are the February meetings.
Yeah. So we're on.
22nd was last week.
Yeah, so it'll be the next day.
Yeah.
So the council, because it's a holiday, will meet on Tuesday instead of Monday, but the current trustees would still be the current trustees on the 19th.
Anything else? Trustee open session?
The only thing, I don't know the best way to approach this, and I don't know if it's something, I'd like the upper watersheds to, I don't know the best way, I probably should have brought it up before, but now is as good a time as any, to maybe look at maybe adopting the sewer, the septic ordinance that we use. You know, that we finally have, it just is something going forward that I don't know the best way to try to get them to do that. I don't know if we ask them, or each town has their own little quirks of the way they do everything. So they've got,
so you're talking about the inspection?
not the inspection part, I want them just, they changed their septic ordinance. It's supposedly better for the watershed, so I like anything that's in the watershed in the outdoor, so Minot, Turner.
So I think that
Somebody,
is
we
a
might have somebody
commission.
representing Minot soon.
Yeah,
I was
exactly.
gonna say, potentially, yeah, it's gonna cost me more money.
Yeah, you wanna get the ball rolling
I
on that.
think that that's a watershed protection commission issue, right? That, it's not that the water district couldn't, but the way that the commission is set up, there are representatives from
Right,
those towns.
Yeah.
And so, I think if, I think that, to me, that's the body to initiate.
Right, okay.
Well, can I comment on this?
No, I'm
So,
asking, so.
as a clerk to the commission, I can tell you this has come up on several occasions on their agendas. They are actively working to engage with the upper watershed towns to do specifically what you're saying, that, you know, at first is to educate them on what Auburn has done, and it's not just the septic standard, it's all the other ordinances that
Lot
we've
size,
recently, yeah, just
yeah.
all the other, and then, you know, after the education, make the request that, you know, would you consider, and what resources would you need from us if,
Right.
you know, what would you incur if you were to adopt this, you know, how, you know, and start those discussions. So they actually have a meeting on the 12th, February 12th, and I do have as a clerk, I have a standing place on the agenda I can bring up. It was asked at our trustee meeting.
Right.
The trustees, if you were all in favor, you don't have to vote on this, but if you're all, you know, agreeing with this request,
Yeah.
I can bring it up.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's gonna go to their town reports, and granted, it's a different section of town, so it's
Well,
you know,
and their town meetings are coming up,
right.
right? So, some of these towns that really can't do anything substantive like this to the town meeting.
Right.
And whether the commission asks them to adopt the inspections or not, I think the inspections are gonna be really important to this, especially if we're finding that there's non-compliant systems,
Yeah.
because the upper watershed towns are gonna have the same sort of thing that we have, right? Things that have been built over many decades,
Yeah.
and, you know,
All the camps on Little Wilson, I mean, yeah.
You wouldn't believe what, my house, you guys know where I live. I mean, there wasn't even a system there. It was a,
pipe out back, right?
yeah, it was just a cesspool kind
Yeah.
of pipes.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure they're out
And
there.
I almost fell through it with my riding tractor. And I'm like,
Not a place to
oh, here.
be. Okay, any other trustee issues? I would like to say that it is a good idea for us to take a look at the bylaws again. I mean, I've been through them a few times, and section 6 on executive session is one for you. Executive sessions may be scheduled by the chair or called by a vote of 3/5 of the Board of Trustees at any meeting. 3/5 of 5 is easy for me, it's 3 people. What's 3/5 of 7?
Yeah, well, we have this all the time on the council, you apply it and round it up,
Okay,
right?
Yeah.
So,
It'll say
so
that.
it's, we have the same thing,
Yeah.
seven people, it's 4.2, so you have to have 5.
So, yeah. that-
So I have a little cheat sheet in the back of my folder when I'm at the city council meeting, so.
All right, the 6 years, so
Well,
I need, you know.
so what messes you up is, well, what if someone's not there? Now it's 6, so.
Right.
And the other one is, you know, when you look at the code of ethics, it talks about on district property, but it's not water district property anymore, it's LAWPC property now, right? Hasn't that property
Well, we do have
transferred?
some property that is, like, this is Auburn Water District property.
Yeah, but, I mean, this is talking about around the lake, I think, some of this stuff, so, anyways, that's for future.
Yeah, and Jason had made that point before, and I agree with you, Dennis, it's something that needs to be done.
Later,
Yeah.
all right. Anything else? Motion to adjourn,
Move the adjourn?
Second?
all in favor?
Okay.
Thanks, that was a long one.